Oh, hello there. You're looking lovely today. Thanks for being here. Today, bit of a Q&A podcast where I answer some questions that I've received. You can send me a DM. I'm at Taylor Jackson on Instagram. Ask any questions for future episodes. I usually try to include a few either towards the end or in this case, I feel like I have enough for an entire episode. First up, Johnny Fliestra. Sorry if I pronounce people's names terribly incorrectly. And that's kind of why I'm afraid of doing a Q&A audio podcast. I can avoid saying people's names if I am on video and I can put the question on the screen. Anyways, Johnny's question is, how much do you photograph during the dinner other than speeches? I always feel so awkward that I'm not shooting and just sitting there eating. I actually put this in the end of a video. I don't know. I made a ton of videos, and there's pretty much a video every day, and also a YouTube short or two coming out every single day on the channel. Anyways, at the end of one of the videos, I kind of made a joke about the fact that for the most part, we kind of are paid to sit there through all of dinner and then take 5 photos of the first dance and leave. And that is honestly how I feel at most wedding days. I really kind of enjoyed at least up here in Canada, the COVID style wedding, which was typically as soon as everyone sat down for dinner, my hours were done. And they would usually in that case walk into do a first dance, maybe some sort of father-daughter dance, something, and we would leave. And I really, really enjoyed that timeline. And I don't know, it's not a bummer that weddings are back to normal, but it's, that was my preferred timeline. To answer your actual question, I typically don't photograph people eating dinner. I will do obviously the speeches and anything that happens. Maybe if there's some sort of kissing game or for whatever reason, there's a lot of putting games at my weddings recently where there's a putting challenge. And if that happens and the couple kisses, I typically will photograph events like that, but I won't really photograph people eating. Sometimes, every now and then, and it's also depending, I guess, on the culture of the wedding. Sometimes this is kind of included in the culture where you just table shots are just a thing that you do. Not necessarily all. Sometimes, I guess, table alcohol shots, but also just going around to every single table and getting a photograph of everybody that's at that table. If you are ever requested to do that, it's stressful and a bit of a pain, especially if you're an introverted human being like myself, to go around and get groups to do that. What I found is if you ask the couple to do it with you, it happens a lot faster, and everybody's very, very genuinely excited to see the couple and they're happy to be in a photo with them. When it's just myself going around and being like, hi everyone, it's time for a picture of the table. Can y'all stand up? And 3 of you are going to have to go over here because I don't have a lens that's wide enough to just shoot from above and get all you in here. It's a lot easier to bring the couple around with you if you ever do have to do that. And I know that's outside of the scope of the question, but yeah, I don't photograph a whole lot of the actual eating. Typically during dinner, at least depending on the time of year, the couple will go out and we'll do some maybe like 5-10 minutes of a sunset session. But yeah, pretty low energy time of dinner. And for the most part, I feel like that's the time that my brain kind of falls asleep, that it's just go up until that point. You sit down for dinner and your brain kind of goes to sleep a little bit. So it's, I don't know, have a coffee or a Coca-Cola or something to get a little bit more excited about the rest of the day. I don't know how DJs do it, that you set up and you sit down for dinner. I guess once the music gets loud, I feel like my energy comes back, but there definitely is a bit of a lull there. Next question. David Graham from Florida asks, I guess this is a very specific question, but I will answer it. So we're doing, you probably know, we're doing a workshop in Banff where we just set up style shoots for you. You come, you take the pictures, you get your mountains and your lakes and your portfolio. And David says that he's coming from Florida and basically the flights don't link up exactly properly, which means that he's coming in a few days earlier. And what should he do with those bonus times that he's in, flying into Calgary and then hanging out in the Banff area? And my recommendation, Calgary is a great city, but if you're coming to Canada for the first time, probably just head towards the mountains. Calgary is kind of the flat, it's kind of, let's call it a Denver. It's flat, and then you can see the mountains kind of off in the distance, and then you drive towards the mountains. And that would be my recommendation. If you do have a day and the prices aren't too extreme, the Emerald Lake Lodge, it's in British Columbia, which is basically, it's like just on the border of Alberta, which is where Calgary, the province, we've got provinces up here. It's kind of just on the border, and it's in a provincial park called Yoho National Park. So it's not quite Banff, but it's like the border, and your park pass, I believe, is kind of good through both. I would recommend going and staying there if it's reasonable. Some weeks for whatever reason it's like $700,000 a night. Other weeks it's like 149, and if it's somewhere closer to that 149, maybe 250, I would say it's worth it. It's if you've seen the channel, you've seen any of our camera reviews, we've shot that location pretty much to death, to the point that I've said that we're not going to be doing any more camera reviews there, but it's so easy. It's such a beautiful place. You're also a little bit there's no cell signal there. There is Wi-Fi at the lodge, and depending on where your room is, you'll have Wi-Fi, but it's kind of nice to go and to kind of be cut off and in a beautiful atmosphere. During the day, the lake there is just incredibly busy. There's tour buses. You can barely find parking if you're not actually staying at the lodge. But as soon as it's, I would say maybe 3 hours before sunset, I guess depending on time of year, so maybe around like, let's say 5 or 6 o'clock p.m., or maybe a little bit later if it's summer months, everybody just kind of leaves. And by actual sunset, there is a handful of people that are staying at the hotel that are there, and maybe a few remaining tourists, or if somebody brought their kayaks out or whatever, maybe they're just packing up. But it's a very, very cool place to be in the times that there are no tourists. It is really unlike any other place that I've been in the world. So I would recommend maybe head up that direction, maybe catch a sunrise or a sunset there if you're not going to stay. Airbnbs are a heck of a lot cheaper, at least right now. I guess COVID's been kind of a spiral out there, that it was so inexpensive last year and the year before, and then it got you can't even find a hotel room this summer, or you can't rent a car even. September, when we're doing the workshop, is a little bit better, but yeah, head out towards the mountains, find an Airbnb. My sometimes travel strategy, or I guess my Icelandic travel strategy, and maybe one that's similar to the mountains, is to find a really cool Airbnb with maybe a hot tub and a nice view of the mountains, and to just have that nice home base if it is something that is reasonable. All right, next question. D Space Tech Miri says, what happened with myself and Nikon, because I only see you with Canon, Sony, and Fuji now. Why no Nikon? So I made a video kind of about this. I'm going to say, when I was going from digital SLR into mirrorless, I was very split. I was on the Nikon, most recently the Z6 II, and also the Canon R6. So I was on Nikon and Canon, and I was having both systems kind of independent of one another. I had lenses for both. Very cost ineffective way to live your photography life. And I guess that was my dilemma, was that I love my Nikon cameras and I love the colors and the files and the lenses, but the autofocus was a lot easier on the Nikon or on the Canon R6. They're both called 6. There's 6s in both of them. And it kind of came down to a few factors for me why I went more Canon. One is kind of ease of use. Two is the fact that video files record to both cards, which is very important for me as a hybrid shooter. Fortunately, Canon and Nikon, they both flip between photo and video mode very, very instantly, which is awesome. And then the other, I guess, deciding factor was lenses as well. That I love the Nikon 1.8 lenses, but the Samyang 1.4 is kind of my more favorite mirrorless lens for all systems. And it happens to be an RF mount. So that was kind of one of the reasons that I went for that, as well as just everything's a little bit smaller, I would say, on the Canon system. The 7200 2.8 is very, very small. 35's 1.8 is, I'm going to say, half or less the size of the Nikon one. Again, maybe not technically as great in all aspects, but I don't know, it helps me create my work better. And then also the reason that I went with both systems in the beginning was because for my video content and for self-filming YouTube stuff, I really want to have a front-facing screen, and the ability to have a fully articulating screen is great. I also find that I just use it so much on wedding days now that I'm very, very used to it. So yeah, that's my answer to that question. But I'm not saying that I'll never be back to Nikon. The Z9 specifically is amazing, and it's a fantastic camera. So yeah, I'll definitely be back. Next question. Etienne Vogel says, have a question, Instagram related. Wonder if I should open another account specifically for couples photography. Problem is I already have a sports account where some money comes in. Sports photography is fun. And then I have an account which I'm going to transform into street photography. This is just for my creativity and for fun too. Is it overkill to have 3 accounts? I think a lot of people probably have more than one account. And I would say having one for, especially if you want to be doing wedding photography, to have one specifically for couples is very, very beneficial. And it will make your life a little bit easier in terms of booking and just getting that trust. You can always be cross promoting. You can be posting in your stories on your couple's account. You can be posting kind of what you're doing in other aspects. I would say that's totally fine. But it is nice if a couple comes to your Instagram profile and they are like, I am in the right place. I am at the hands of a professional, certified, 100% wedding photographer. And I feel like that's going to convert bookings a little bit faster. And then they see more aspects of your work and that you do sports and you do street photography. And maybe that helps kind of solidify a sale. And also the fact that they know you're in multiple different places, so you like really truly do exist and you're at real live events and working in the public and whatnot. So I feel like they all complement each other, but I would definitely do something that was specific or more specific to weddings and couples. And then I guess it's also dependent on the percentage of income as well, that if you discover 2 years from now that pretty much all of your income is from weddings and couples and families, maybe it makes sense to make that more your kind of main profile, where you're doing a little bit more story content in it and creating reels maybe specifically for it. But as my recommendation would be definitely to split that out a little bit and to promote just couple photography and wedding photography. I know if you look at my Instagram, don't use mine as an example because I do a lot of stuff. I'm also, I don't know, like 20 years into a wedding photography career, so I can do some things that potentially newer photographers or people that are just getting that wedding photography aspect of their business started probably can't, or I wouldn't advise. So yeah, don't exactly look at me for the 100% thing to model, because I do a lot of just crazy stuff like bring pizzas on airplanes for no reason. But I don't know, maybe there's value in that. Maybe that's I think I don't know if it's a podcast or a video, but I kind of talked about how yes, it is important to have couples photography, but also it's important to do things that people either that have been married already can interact with. So if I'm constantly showing couples photos of wedding days, that's great and all, but once somebody follows me, they don't necessarily want to watch that for the rest of their lives if they've already been married, but maybe they will watch something like a pizza on an airplane. And you can go to my Instagram if you want to watch that. It was fun. Kind of asked, I don't know if this is specifically for a podcast question, but he did ask me a question. So I'll send him a link to this podcast, I guess, in a timestamp. Can you tell a little bit more about Aftershoot? Saw the video, got excited. Culling wears me out the most. I use Photo Mechanic, which is fast, but it takes me long to select. So if you're not familiar with what Aftershoot is, I'm going to go on my computer right now and I'm going to find what my affiliate code is, because I think you save 10% and I think I get something. I'm not sure what it is. And what Aftershoot is a program that will automatically cull for you through AI, kind of. I guess it is for sure. That makes it sound like the end all do all situation, that it's just like it just does it and your wedding is culled. I wouldn't say that's true. It gets you 80-90% of the way, so you still do have to go through and kind of refine, but it is a huge time saver, and it is something that I would recommend to give a shot and see if it works with you. My code is Taylor10, so if you end up going through and purchasing it, use Taylor10 and you save 10%. And the, I guess, massive benefit of this obviously is the time savings that it gives you, that it will remove kind of the basics. It'll remove any blurred photos. It'll remove any blinks. It'll remove any photos that are duplicates. It'll kind of group them all together, and it will make your culling life so much easier. So check out Aftershoot and use that code if you want. And just give it a shot. Give it one of your wedding galleries and give it some parameters. You can either make it very, very strict, or you can make it very, very loose, and it'll include a lot of images. And typically what I do is I actually will just have it remove the blinks and the blurred photos and then leave everything else. And then I'll do actually outsource a manual call from there. So I give it to photographers to edit, and they'll call from there. You can also use, maybe while we're on the topic of AI, you can also use a program called Imagen. It's Imagen, so Imogen, kind of. If maybe to better explain this, I have a YouTube video on it from a little while ago. Just type in Taylor Jackson Imogen into YouTube, and it'll show it to you. But basically, what they do is, I would say it is a much more finished product, not necessarily just for culling, although they are offering culling now, and then Aftershoot's also offering editing, so we'll see kind of where that all shakes out. But I would say in terms of editing, that Imagen is doing really incredible things. You will be surprised with how accurately it edits. The startup process is you basically give it either, I think, 5,000 of your final edited photos, and it builds you a profile, and it sees what you do in different lighting situations. And then whenever you upload a new gallery, it will basically be like, okay, so this backlit image, this is what you did. It'll even crop for you, which is crazy. If you can trust it to compose photos, which is very, very strange. It'll also automatically straighten photos, which is very helpful for me that shoots every family photo on like a 2-degree slant. And it is really incredible. I would say maybe start out with, there's a link, I believe if you use the link that's in my YouTube video, you get 1,500 free edits. And I would say start with someone's profile. So there's talent profiles that you can just instantly use that you don't have to submit your own images. The downside with that is that you can't continue to modify those profiles. So those profiles exist as they are, and they will edit your photos. And they'll do a very, very good job. But if you build your own profile, you can continue refining it, which means that whenever it sends you the final gallery back, you go through and you make any additional adjustments, and then you re-upload that gallery, and it learns what it did wrong. And then the next time it will do things differently for you. So after, I'm going to say probably like 4 or 5 weddings, it will be pretty bang on to exactly how you edit. Their pricing model is a bit of, I don't love it. It's a SaaS company, so basically software as a service, which means you're paying per edit, even though it's a computer doing it, and I don't love that. Aftershoot's new plan, I guess, is that it's going to be all inclusive as a monthly, which I'm more fine with, I think. But we'll see. We'll see whose system is better. Right now, Imagine's system is very, 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 very good. So check them out if you want to speed up your post-production. This wasn't supposed to be sponsored by them or anything, but it's a good platform, and a lot of my friends are using it now and seeing good success. Sam Hurd is basically, I think when he uploads to his profile, it's giving him pretty much 100% of his final delivery, which obviously speeds you up a lot, that you just upload a thing and then your final gallery gets sent back to you in like 5 minutes and you're just done with that wedding. So yeah, very cool. All right, that brings us to the end. A few questions answered. If you have any other questions, feel free to drop them into my inbox on Instagram. I am at Taylor Jackson, and I'll do my best to answer you. And yeah, that's all for today. New video up on YouTube every single day. Today, or maybe yesterday, if you're, I guess I'm going to upload this 9 a.m. on Friday. If you are on YouTube, you can watch a video from yesterday with Sam Hurd and Ryan Murray doing film photography in Copenhagen when we were way up north. It was fun. It was a good time. And also, watch other videos on the channel too. That would be nice. See you next time.